Here with the Digital Digest, and today I'm taking a look at the Lenovo ThinkStation P3 Ultra. This is a small form factor workstation, meaning it has a powerful CPU. In fact, it's the Intel Core i9 13900. It has 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM, 2 terabytes of internal storage, utilizing, of course, NVMe SSDs. It has an NVIDIA RTX A2000 that gets up to 70 watts, and it's all in this tiny form factor. Now, I'll include a link in the description for those of you interested in purchasing one. It's presently on sale for a little over $2,000. I think it's somewhere around $2,300. Don't quote me, but check the link. And this is really impressive, even here in 2024, because things like this just simply didn't exist not too long ago. And if, like me, you have a particular interest in small form factor PCs, this probably should be at the top of your shortlist. So let me go ahead and get the box out of the way. That was really here just for effect, for anyone that was curious, what the packaging actually looked like. But let's focus on the system itself. So again, at 2,300, I think it is roughly, you're getting this tiny machine, and it is tiny. Don't kid yourself. I mean, this thing is literally like a quarter, if not an eighth of the size of a traditional desktop. And it has so many features. It is a robust solution. And when I look at the world of tiny workstations, this one is at the top of my short list in terms of aesthetics and internals. I mean, Lenovo, I think, really is getting a lot right on a machine like this. Now, it comes with a standard keyboard and mouse. That's nothing to get excited about. And of course, a 300-watt power supply. And this looks just like what you'd find on Lenovo laptops. And well, it is very similar to that. And it's a perfect fit for this machine because, again, I think the 13th gen i9 is going to have a pretty low draw, somewhere around 35 watts. And as I mentioned, that GPU is going to peak at around 70. So on the front of the machine, we've got our power button. We have a headphone microphone combo jack, a Type A USB port, and 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Already like that a lot. We flip around to the back of the machine, and things get even more interesting. I'm going to put this down because holding something like this for me is quite difficult. So we have Wi-Fi 6E on board. They've included an antenna. If you want to hardwire, you have a 2.5 gigabit connection along with a 1 gig port. So that's great, especially if you're operating a NAS. Ideal to have. Then, when it comes to additional ports, there are no Type-C ports, no Thunderbolt ports on the back here, but we do have 4 Type-A USB ports. They are 10 gigabit, so that's certainly a good option. You can just essentially use an adapter if you need it. HDMI ports right up here, and then we, of course, there are 3 HDMI ports total, just glancing at that again, or rather display ports, I meant, but these are not utilizing the RTX, or rather the NVIDIA GPU. You will have to go to the actual GPU here for that output. As you can see, we have a total of 4 mini display ports out. Again, easily rectified with an adapter if you need it. In all likelihood, you will. But you can either get a mini display port to HDMI or 2 display port full size, or of course just get an HDMI adapter for those. But remember, these are utilizing the NVIDIA GPU. These are utilizing integrated graphics from the Intel chipset. The other really cool thing about this is that it is pretty much modular. So there's this little switch here at the back, and if you just pull that, you can actually remove the entire system from the housing. And this is, again, just part of what makes this system so cool. So there you can see the RAM. This is the heatsink and fan for the CPU. Flip this over to the other side, and you can see we've got our GPU. I mean, just everything going on. And it's all accessible. I'm not going to take this apart right now. Looks like we have a riser for the GPU. This being the GPU right here, I see what appears to be a riser for it. But it's really just incredible engineering, if you ask me, that has been employed here. It's one of those things that when I see it, I'm impressed that manufacturers are doing things like this. And it's also good news because if, like me, you want to be able to get, again, really small workstations that are still high performance from quality manufacturers, this is definitely one of the best options you're going to find in the marketplace. So really cool, excited to start using it. And, anyone who's wondering like what kind of performance they're going to get out of a machine like this, I will just put it this way. If you're running Revit, CAD, doing any kind of rendering, this thing's going to be able to handle it. Is it going to give you best-in-class performance? No. The highest spec you can go on the GPU is the A4000, which has, a sizable improvement from the A2000. But again, I would say it's comparable, the A4000, to something like, it's getting close to a 4060 GPU, or previous generation 3080. These are all mobile GPUs. So food for thought in terms of overall performance and what to expect. This is not a gaming machine. Could you game on it? Absolutely. I likely will test that. But again, I don't have real aspirations for what that A2000 is going to be able to do. Now, when it comes to video editing, photo editing, CAD and Revit, like I just mentioned, this machine's not going to have any problems. And that's why I think this is going to be an incredibly popular solution in, again, architectural offices, design firms, video editing, a little bit of a mixed bag, because that'll really depend on the software in terms of how well it will take advantage of the GPU on board. If your company is using something where there's no real advantage between, the A2000 and the A4000, you see where I'm going. But either way, engineering, build quality, having everything in such a small package, and then just to give you scale, because I think that's really important to get an idea of how small this is. I mean, remember, this is the Power Brick from a traditional, desktop replacement laptop from Lenovo. Granted, it got a little smaller with the latest generation, but you can see this is literally half the size of the entire system. And if I were to bring out something else for scale, like a portable NVMe drive, or how about a camera, you really start to get the idea of how tiny this workstation is. So again, if you're looking for nearly zero footprint in your workspace, but you want performance as if you still have a pretty solid desktop, not, bleeding edge monster, but something that's going to be able to do pretty much anything you need it to, this is probably what you should be interested in. Again, design language is on point. Internal specs and engineering seem to be great. Now I just have to test it out and see if we get, thermal throttling, where it peaks, and can it really handle everything that I've been discussing through the course of this video. But again, really excited about this. Very exciting stuff. Also excited about Lenovo's ThinkCenter Neo. Not sure I'm going to get that in for review. That actually has a 4060. Looks a lot like the Mac Studio, and just kills it in terms of performance. That thing is about $2,000. So not too far from the price on this. That's, of course, targeting more consumers than it is workstation users for corporate needs like this. And it has a totally more consumer-centric design language than this more industrial business look. I like both a lot. Granted, I haven't seen the Neo in person, but it looks slick. And it's just exciting to see where these tiny computers are going here in 2024. Things are only going to get better, but this is a really good start, again, if tiny, powerful computers are what you're after. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.